I believe sales is the #1 skill that everyone could invest in getting better in. It makes you a better communicator, a better creator, a better business owner, a better parent. Sales will make you a better human being.
And 99% of the time, it's a thought error in their head. So you use this framework not just to sell your product. In fact, very rarely is that even the actual issue. It's what's underneath.
Today's department is the sales department, and I have with me some of the top trainers in the country, multiple 7-figure entrepreneurs, the sales girls.
You know, there's a huge difference between learning something and mastering something. When you master something, it's just this unconscious ability to really communicate in a way that makes people want to take action.
I realized none of this is even about me. So here I am, like frustrated, wondering why people aren't buying, when all the while I just had to honestly uncover what they were interested in.
It's like the playbook to the game of life. You have the rules of the game and now you just gotta run it.
So you said that there's a framework. Like, do you guys have one?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Can you break down the framework of getting better at sales? And so I'm so excited to be joined with the sales girls, Macy and Kat. And these ladies help other women.
Yeah. We help them master sales skills. And, you know, there's a huge difference between learning something and mastering something. But when you master something, it's just this unconscious ability to really communicate in a way that makes people want to take action. That's all sales is. And it's not a single moment where, oh, this is the pitch. It's like every interaction is an opportunity to move people just kind of over this buying bridge. And when you have the skills mastered, you can't not use them. You know, sales skills are really powerful.
I love that you said that. Like, when you haven't, you can't not use
You
it.
can't, it's harder to not use it than to use it.
Yeah, because my journey, I would say I'm probably 20 months in of being intentional about growing in this skill.
Yeah.
And it's wild how it makes my mind work when I'm just having conversations with people. Because what people are feeding me are things that I could anticipate for future conversations or future whatever. But that is funny. It's like you once you get exposed to it, it's kind of hard to go backwards.
Oh my gosh. And can I tell you my like epiphany moment when I realized, oh my gosh, everyone's life would be better. It was years ago, but I was in Starbucks. I was ordering a drink. It was just a normal day. And at the time I got my, tall, skinny, extra hot vanilla latte. And the barista, she didn't even look up. She was like, we don't have vanilla. Like, we're out of vanilla. And I was all like discombobulated because I was like, wait, I don't even look at the Starbucks menu. What do I get? And I ordered. And I stepped to the side and I was like, why do I feel so weird? Like, why did I hate that experience? And I realized, like, oh my gosh, even the barista would benefit from having sales skills, because salespeople, they don't think about what they don't have. They think about what they can offer always. They don't think about a future that someone has to live without or lack. They think about something that could be so much better. So she could have said something as simple as like, we're out of vanilla, but here's what we do have. Here's another option that's even better that you don't even realize that could be better for you. That was my moment where I was like, oh my gosh, even people behind the barista bar, their life would be so much better if they knew how to sell.
Dude, so good.
It blew my mind. And that's when I was like, oh, we have something special.
Yeah, it makes me think about when you go to a restaurant that you've never been to and you ask the server, what's the best thing on the menu? And they say, when they say, honestly, everything, it's like, you're not helping me.
The next question they should ask should be like, ooh, tell me a little bit more about like what excites you. Like, what made you come to this restaurant in the first place? And learn to see what exactly they are thinking about. And you can help frame their mind even more clearly to even like, that's what's so cool about being a salesperson is you can create a future that's so much better that someone doesn't even realize is available to them.
Yeah. And and when they suggest something, you're more than likely to go with it.
100%.
Because I'm like, I'm at a loss to begin with, you know? I've even learned the power when you say like, you can't not use it, even in parenting.
Oh my gosh.
Like
that is where you use it.
Yeah. You could tell your kid to do something that they don't want to do.
Right.
Or you can frame it in a way that that will benefit them, whether it be, hey, Ruby, how about after you brush your teeth, we'll watch 15 minutes of iCarly, which is crazy that she's watching iCarly because I watch iCarly.
It's so funny. Yeah. And what's even cooler, I think, is when you sell beliefs. Because when you sell beliefs, the action is the byproduct. So for example, like brushing your teeth. What if you sold the belief that, we are, like my last name is McNeely. We're the McNeelys and like we love to take care of ourselves. And if you believe that, the action is, oh, I brush my teeth every day. Like, what if you raised kids that they took actions that was best for them on their own, that you didn't tell them what to do, but they believed something so that they did something?
That's good.
That's how they go to college, and you know that they are going to make good decisions because you sold them on ways to believe, not tasks to do.
That's so good.
That's the dream. And that's how I like to think about creating content, is sell people on beliefs, not offers.
Yeah, and that's how, I mean, it's kind of honestly how people will separate themselves as entrepreneur creators,
right?
Is the people who are speaking to the beliefs of people or the limited beliefs of people. What was your epiphany moment?
Oh my gosh. Oh, when sales became like the only way. Well, I mean, I had tried selling for a long time. I actually had a sales role in my first career as a dietitian, and I hated it. I was like, get me out of here as fast as possible. I didn't want to sell someone on eating healthy because I was like, we all know what to do. This is like nuts, you know? Sounds terrible now. And then I got into network marketing, couldn't sell a thing. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I'm nice, I'm friendly, I'm smart. Like, what's happening? And it was in the moment where I realized none of this is even about me. Nothing that I post, nothing that I think, nothing that I communicate was ever about me anyway. So here I am, like, frustrated, wondering why people aren't buying, when all the while I just had to honestly uncover what they were interested in and just frame it, reveal you can have exactly what you want and your future could be better because of it. Everything was easier. Everything was more fun. People start to be like magnetized to you as a person because they see their future in you and the way that you communicate. So it's really cool being a sales girl, being a salesperson in general, is like you are a mirror to someone's better future.
Yes.
Just by the way that you talk, by the way that you interact with them. And it's just so fun. And once you start, you can't stop. Like once you help your kids sit down in the bathtub so they don't bust their head open because it's fun, it's better, it's everything. You're just like, wow, like you were happy to do the thing that was best for you. And that's the gift of
sales. It becomes the game too. You know, it's like the playbook to the game of life. You have the rules of the game, and now you just gotta run it.
I know you're a pastor, and I just got to tell you, it is really wild to sit in church and watch like a giving moment, like the tithe, like right, like let's do the giving. I'm like, okay, if I could just
one thing,
sit with you and talk about how this giving could be not about putting it on your auto draft or putting it, you know, just hyping people up, but really showing them that their future, their eternal future even, could be impacted by this discipline, and selling it rather than, you know, hey, we have a big, you know, this
mission trip.
We have this big thing coming up. And, you know, of course, every church, every organization has different level of like messaging for sure. But without a doubt, I just
honestly,
see
I think
gaps.
Theologically, the Apostle Paul was actually brilliant when it came to taking offerings and things like that, because he said that he would say, this isn't for me. This is actually for you. It's so that you can experience the blessing of the generous life. You know, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And so something I've even learned from my pastor, his name's Jabin Chavez, because it's been phenomenal. It's only been 6 years of our church, but we've grown over 2,000 people on a weekend, building a $19 million building not too far from here. And seeing him and how he does it, it's enlightening, because I'm there because I understand sales and stuff. And he never went through sales training. He's just a phenomenal communicator. And it was actually, before I was very intentional about growing in my sales skills, I would still preach not knowing about sales. But isn't that interesting? But my friend told me, who watched a lot of my sermons, they were like, you do know how to sell. You're telling everyone this is a problem that we're all facing, and everyone in this room isn't exempt. And here's the solution. And I didn't realize like, oh, that is what you do when you preach. I think subconsciously we do it, but like being intentional is a whole nother, you know, level.
It's kind of interesting how like your developed nature, like in the spirit, was to reflect back to someone like what's best for them. Like that was not natural human nature, like because our fallen self is like me. But your like developed self is like, no, this is not about me. This is about you. So it's just really cool how the sales skills confirmed that thing that was developing in you the whole time. Good. And like I was even telling Macy, I was reading through an old Bible, and I was like, wow, it's like crazy how these notes were here then, and they've been confirmed now with like a skill that, you know, we use in business. But of course we know it's life, because I think it's like how we actually live out the calling that we have. And it's funny, when the word skill one of the synonyms is handiness. And one of the first things I said to my own self was like, I finally know what to do with my hands. I have this passion. I have this heart. I have this thing that I want to come across. And I feel like my hands are tied. I have nothing to give somebody. But once you have the framework and the way to show someone, like you literally can put out your hand and like do something about it. It's just so good.
I love that.
Have you ever wondered to yourself or asked yourself the question when you watch my content, how the heck does Omar's quality of video look and sound so dang crispy? It's literally the #1 question I get asked, whether it's privately in the DMs or people commenting on my videos on Instagram or even on YouTube. The reality is, I believe the quality of videos that I've been able to produce has been the recipe to my success online. And I want to give you access to my live document where I've listed out everything I use, both for the podcasts I create, to the YouTube videos I make, as well as to what I use for my smartphone to make it look and sound amazing. The reason I put it on a live doc is because I keep this document updated in real time with everything that I'm using. So just head over to thevideodept.co/crispy or just click the link down in the show notes. Let's get back to the conversation.
It really does. You guys said it makes your life easier.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you a better communicator, a better creator, a better business owner, a better parent, human being. Like
Literally.
Sales will make you a better human being.
And I think also there's so many people that talk about being stuck in their business. And I believe it's because they don't have the skill to know what to do with their hands.
100%.
I remember when I first learned sales skills, I could not wait to get on the phone with somebody. They would interact with me on Instagram and I'd be like, give me your phone number and I'm going to jump on the phone. Because I knew how to play the game. Like I knew how to get on the phone. And
that's cool.
All of a sudden, I wasn't even looking at the scoreboard. I was just playing. And because I used to work in ministry, I was making like $35,000 a year. And then and then I was playing this game and I was like, let me just like look at what money is coming in right now. And I had my first $10,000 month and I was like, how is this the most fun I've ever had? And the easiest it's ever been, the most momentum I've ever felt. And I used my brain and my mouth. And in ministry, I was using my body and my, a lot of the implementing kind of work. And I was like, oh my gosh, if everyone had this.
It's so interesting because that stuck feeling is so draining on your energy, right? But they like know they need to make sales, but they don't know how to sell. And so going along with having fun, like you have more energy than ever because everything's so efficient when you just know how to quickly show someone what's in it for them. They either buy it or they don't, but more often than not, they want it because you've shown them what they already told you they wanted.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's just amazing the energy that you have to do the work that you actually want to do instead of being drained and stuck, feeling like you have to like make a conversion and take someone's money, like all those thoughts that just
drain you
are such a heavy weight.
Yeah.
It's not even the point.
Right.
So you said that there's a framework. Like, do you guys have one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Can you break down the framework of getting better at sales?
Yeah. There's like mama framework.
I was gonna
and then
say.
there's like baby frameworks.
Should we go mama framework or baby framework?
What is the China dolls thing?
Yeah, or the Russian dolls.
The Russian dolls.
The Russian dolls. There's a lot of frameworks. Well, like I'll just like mama framework and then a quick baby framework. People think the words that you say is it the script. We believe it's probably 25% of the equation. And so the mama framework is about 25% skill and technique. But then there's this like and trust, this heart and emotion, and this mindset and attitude piece. And I could give the exact same words to the exact same people or two different people with the exact same product, and they would get different results because of how they think, because of their credibility, and because of, honestly, how they enter into conversations and position themselves. So we have that kind of mama framework where it's the skill and technique, like and trust, heart and emotion, and mindset and attitude. But then within the skill and technique, we have something called the guide method, guiding people into a decision. And you can think of it like a presentation, but first you obviously have to get someone's attention and also hold it. You get them curious, unleash curiosity, get them kind of leaning in, increase value. So most people don't buy because the value doesn't feel as heavy as what's keeping them from moving forward. Dream big, which is that future, casting that vision. But what's important is you want to cast the right vision based on what they desire and their dominant buying motive, which you find out in the curiosity statement, and then expand lives, which is getting them into the final decision. And then there's a little piece off to the side, which is handling objections. And that's off to the side because it always happens. It's not a certain order. In fact, most people approach you with an objection. And an objection is actually in the form of a question most of the time. Like, hey, I'm so curious to know how much time this takes. People just answer the question without realizing that there's actually a reason why they're asking it, and it's usually a hidden objection. And so we love to get objections and handle objections publicly just to get ahead of people's beliefs.
And what's so cool about knowing this framework is that you realize, most people walk around thinking that their offer is either what's going well or it's the problem, right? So it's like the pieces and the product and the process and all this great stuff. And so people will say, oh, how much is your thing? That's the objection. Or what am I going to learn in blank, right? So people approach you with like product questions, and 99% of the time it's a thought error in their head. So you use this framework not just to sell your product. In fact, very rarely is that even the actual issue. It's what's underneath. So what is your thought pattern? What is the belief that has seeded in you a long time ago from school or from corporate or from your parents or whatever, that we just need to reframe and shift and help you believe that this is actually so possible for you, or this is a great decision for you, or it's not, one way or the other. But it's so interesting how the sales framework works on thoughts just as good, if not better, than talking about your product. It's so flexible like that.
Because even in the getting people curious, like there's frameworks on how to get the right information. So for example, let's say you have a group fitness program.
Okay? No, just say, for example, you have a program that helps people build their personal brand with video.
Okay, perfect. So do you have a group is it a group program?
It's just my inner circle,
Okay, perfect. So let's say someone comes up to you and they're like, how many people are in the group? You might be like, oh, there's 20, or however, there's 20. Instead, I would encourage you to say something like, hey, I would love to tell you, but before I do, I'm curious, is there a specific reason you're asking? And they might say something like, well, like I just like don't know if I belong with that level of people.
Or I don't want to get lost in the sauce.
I don't get lost in the sauce, or like I don't want people to see like how bad I am. I'm embarrassed. I feel vulnerable. That, and you answer 20 people, that's not handling what's really going on.
That's crazy.
So really, and they're likely not going to tell you right off the bat. So you being able to sense, hey, what is there something underneath? And like, are you, and being that person that people want to open up to is really important as well.
I love that.
It's ninja things for sure.
We have an inner circle as well. And one of the questions that we're hearing our sales girls being asked is, what makes you different? You teach nutrition, you teach this. And like, people are so scared and skeptical of making a bad investment again, right? So their clients are worried, I just don't want to waste another $5,000. I want to make a good decision. And so we tell them the exact same thing. You could go off on your framework and why it's so great and why it's so special and all the wins you've gotten, sure. Or you could ask, what makes you wonder what makes me different? Now, I want to answer your specific question. So it works for everything. And it helps you talk about the efficiency. As you get there so much faster, so much more pointed.
Yes.
And it shows them that you care.
Talk about the thing that they actually want to hear about.
Yeah. And I think it's just the heart. And then this is why I like saying selling is serving, because really you're just helping a person come to a clear answer by you asking questions. And it takes for you as the saleswoman or man to care. Like if you care enough, you actually would deep dive.
The thing I notice when people think, like, really defining what serving is so important, because I think people hear serving and they're like, oh, I'll educate. Let me just educate so I can serve my audience. I'll do it for free. And education does not give a transformation. And so they'll go and do all this content and they're like, I'm serving you, I'm educating you, but people aren't buying. They're like, why? And it's because that's not the type of serving that you want to do. Listen, I've given our offer away to two people for free before. 2. Those are the only 2 people that have never opened their portal ever. And that is when I was like, I will always take some people's money, because it's like not fair to them for them to not take it seriously. But that's kind of how I think about educational content sometimes. Is it's free, like service content, but people don't take it seriously. You know what I mean? You want them to feel something so that they buy and then they learn, because they'll take it more seriously.
I wrote down, you were like, somebody, you will sometimes say like, how long is this going to take for it to work? Definitely something I get. The 2 other ones are, it's a little bit out of the price range when it's like, maybe, and then the other one is like, I need to talk to my spouse.
Oh yeah.
So with those like generally being like probably the top.
Yeah.
What are ways you can get to the bottom of those ones?
So they were spouse, money, and then what was the first one?
Price, spouse. You already kind of addressed that, like how long does it take, and you say ask them like how come?
What specifically? Yeah. Well, you always ask a clarifying question. Never answer a question straight up. Ever.
Because even if it is something as small as like a $7 offer, I know it feels like a waste of time sometimes, but just either buy it or don't. But then you know how to create content. So if someone is like, what am I going to learn in this downloadable? You ask why they're asking. You know, tell me more about what you're wondering, what specifically is the reason you ask. They tell you. Then you use that as leverage in your top of funnel, in your headline, in your build a 6-figure video department without the thing that people keep bringing up to you in your $7 offer.
Exactly.
So it just saves you so much time. Yeah. And what we love about Russell Brunson, when he is like the first 20 pages of .com Secrets, he says a funnel is a clone of your best salesperson. And what I would love to know is like, are you your best salesperson? Because when you are, you have at it.
Yeah.
Make as many funnels as you want.
Yeah.
So it's just so nice how conversations unlock all the messaging that you need for being an amazing marketer, which I know is not your question, but handling it up front is amazing too.
Yeah. How much is your offer?
Right now it's $17,000.
Okay. Yeah. And so what do you typically say? I'm curious if someone says that's out of my price range.
I would say because when I did my last challenge and like presented my offer, and then my sales guy was like on the phone, and like that being one of the things, they're just, it's just, I think it's the prolonging of wanting to think about it, or maybe it might be the way that I'm asking for the money. I've tried to do the $2K down thing, and then
So do you have a story of someone who's made a lot of money from what you teach them here?
Oh yeah, no, like crazy.
Give me a story. I'm curious.
Yeah, so I have this guy. His name is Aaron, and he joined the program in January, and within the first week, I taught on YouTube titles and packaging, and he had an idea of a video and completely flipped it because of what I taught that call, and within a week's time, he said he grossed almost $40K from that video directly, YouTube. Organically.
Wow.
And then he just, a couple of weeks ago, he put it in the community again. He's like, another video, $36K.
Let's go.
And so,
awesome.
100% I got these stories.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, what type of buyer was he? I'm curious.
Yeah, he understands the value of investing in yourself.
Yeah. He probably expected to win.
100. I would say he'd be one of the rocks. He's like rock star student.
Oh yeah, 100%. Myron talks a lot about the law of polarity, which is there's always an equal and opposite side. So there's always a reason that something is expensive, and there's always a reason that it's going to make you money, always. So when I think about handling a price objection, I'm always like, okay, there's a reason that it's going to cost you money, but there's also a side where the leverage is, the limit does not exist. Yeah. So I just personally take that side and frame that side for them. What's important is how you because if you think about an objection, first you're equal on the same level. They tell you an objection and you're kind of lower than them, so to speak. Your goal is to get back on the same page as soon as possible. And a great way to do that is to just have a little cushion, just like, hey, I get it. And then find a point of agreement. That's not the same thing as agreeing with them. So agreeing with them looks like, hey, I get it. It is an investment. It is expensive. That is just making it so much bigger.
That's very true.
But people feel like, oh, you're supposed to agree with them. But you can find a point of agreement that you both agree on very easily that's outside of this investment. That's just selling something like, hey, I get it. It is so important that we take seriously where we invest our money. I can totally get on board with that. And honestly, that is the very reason that this is so important for you. You're reversing it, so that you can have endless, potential. In fact, let me tell you the story about so-and-so.
It's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So getting on that same page is really important of finding a point of agreement without agreeing with them.
I guess it would be getting my salesperson these stories too, though, right?
Oh,
They need to
That's probably like a whole process in and of itself.
Immediately. Yeah. We have something called a bank of evidence. We call it evidence to prove your case.
That's dope.
And we have a mission called No Evidence Left Behind. And so anytime someone sends a voice memo in a screenshot or even on a Zoom call, if we talk about wins, I'm like, immediately someone go in there and pull those and we save them. And yeah, everyone knows those wins and these star students. And Kat is one of the best I've ever seen to get the details of these stories. She'll interview people and just grill them and like, what were you feeling? Then what happened? Then what happened? And she's able to really regurgitate those stories beautifully.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine you're a salesperson or you or, you know, all of us hearing the word, gosh, just trying to think of like a random doubt, you know, that's like kind of unique. I don't want to fail again. You've heard these stories from people. It's like, that's how Ashley felt. That's how Brian felt. Like, let me pull it because it's not just about the money when it is, but when people can see, oh, someone felt that way too and they won, or they felt that way and they still posted a video because some people's win is just getting the content out. Right. And it's just cool where evidence can really hit for people beyond just the final win. People just really want to believe in themselves.
That's good.
And how can you do that in a substantial way that like has true meaning and not just firing them up, right, to make money? Because that's so like the natural byproduct of the work that they're going to do. It's like, hey, the money's going to take care of itself. Let's get you in a like full belief mode. And sometimes that those same evidences can do that too.
Exactly. And also, I mean, you are a high premium buyer, right? Like you've bought premium. It's very easy to sell a $17,000 product when you've bought 55 and above. So being someone that buys high value things, it's easier to sell to. I would encourage you to do a couple sales calls just to see what they're saying. That is the most valuable thing ever, to just be the person that hears from their mouth exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I know that there's like I
mean, because it's been a while since I've done like these one-on-one
just do
joints.
just do a couple and just check in. And just hear. And then also for the spouse one, typically, like, you can't coach the spouse in front of me, right? So I'll say, like, you know, I can't, you know, help them right now because they're not in the room. But here's what I can tell you is that when you go with so much belief, they will believe in you. And I know we actually just did a challenge and someone said, I had my husband watch Macy coach and he was all in when he heard. So offering to let them watch some of your stuff is really good.
That's good.
And then I'll always say, hey, when are you going to talk to him? And they'll say, oh, tonight. And I'll say, hey, I'll like people on my Instagram a couple of times tonight. If he has any questions, just send them in the DMs. I'd be happy to answer them. And I'll answer them in a voice memo for her to play for him. So I can like be the sales girl for her.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I think about handling objections by adding to the offer.
Oh, yeah, no.
And maybe here's the problem with that is like my way of handling that objection the last time I sold it was, hey, I'll give you, it's a +1. If you join on this challenge, you could have a partner with you, a video person join you with this program for the year, or your spouse.
Oh, wow.
To me, it doesn't take much more by them just being in there.
And that's not wrong. Like, you can do that. There's just usually more there.
Yeah.
That's usually not like actually the thing.
That's just me fixing like surface level.
Yeah. Well, 2% of the time, it is just a genuine question, straight up, no story. And that would be the perfect reason to do this. Like, because we're each other's +1 to our events too. So
and that's I literally really just, important.
I simply just want her there. Yeah. You know, we need to be together. It's like, okay, perfect. Well, you get a +1, you know? Yeah. So that totally works.
Yeah, that's good. I love you brought up like the kind of buyers and being able to know to address them intentionally. Russell was breaking down his event and how when he does the pitch for his offer, he knows that day and that night emotional buyers buy. But he's like, all logical buyers go back to the room and they dwell on it and they think about it. Yeah. And he says that's why the repitch is addressing logical objections, I guess you could say. So he's like, in essence, it's a little bit of different presentation, even though I'm presenting the same offer, but I'm speaking to the logical person now because the emotional buyer probably already bought at this point. Okay. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good to keep in mind of the type of buyers. And that's where that evidence comes in. So the evidence that we have is separated based on, this is like a logical version of this evidence. This is a 10x ROI versus, just kind of slightly changing that. And I like throughout the presentation sprinkling in different types of evidences to address all those buyers. You know, Myron teaches in the repitch to sell the identity of the person. So he probably wouldn't, I don't know if I've ever heard the word logical come out of his mouth now that I'm thinking about it, which is so funny. But yeah, I mean, being aware is really important. I kind of think everybody buys emotionally, then they justify logically. So everyone needs a little bit of logic, but most people buy with emotion first. And then they just need a little logic to
people who love to buy will justify logically without someone else presenting that logic.
Oh yeah, okay, we're really good.
I'll
buyers.
Find the logic by myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. So. One thing about being a good salesperson is you're usually a really good buyer because when you sell really well, you sell with value in mind. You don't think about the cost, and so when you buy with value in mind, not the cost. And you don't want to sell with cost in mind because then you sell that it's like cheap and it's the best deal, and then you get buyers who are looking for the greatest deal and not the greatest value, and that's never a good thing. You want people to think about the value that they're going to get, not what they're paying. Always be the type of buyer that you want to attract for sure.
Yeah, which I have a friend who's been wanting to get in like coaching and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and he has had a very hard time kind of breaking through to just take the step. I think he's kind of busy, but I also think he's never, like I said, like it by me joining and paying a lot of money for investing in myself, it gave me the confidence, permission to then charge.
100%.
And I realized that. And you posted a reel like yesterday or a couple of days ago about like you made a decision even like with the things like your accessories and your clothing.
Oh yeah.
That because it does matter.
Oh yeah.
And you buy a cheap thing and it treats you cheap.
Throw it away. It's terrible. It's so important.
Myron changed my life, my brain forever when he said, "I don't need your money, but you need to write this check." Like for you as a person to develop this mental thing, and my brain has been broken ever since.
Oh, it's
broken,
so
rebuilt, renovated.
Oh yeah.
To believe like, and the other thing is like people aren't even investing in you; they're investing in themselves through you. So what a gift to show someone like you are worth the investment.
Yep.
And honestly, since we bought a $350,000 offer and then $1 million offer a month later, and I'm like. I've got to dress different. You got to just do different from the outside because on the inside, you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's just really cool. And then people treat you different. So it's like this cycle, but it's also a development and like over time.
You're right.
You don't just change in
and it's taken me time. Essentially the same offer that I've been selling started at $2,000 for a year.
Yeah.
And I was afraid when I charged that.
Isn't that crazy?
Actually, it was $5,000. And then I put it out there, and then 2 days later, I'm like,
no,
it's $2,000.
Isn't that crazy?
And then I have grown into the confidence of being able to charge what I believe it's worth. And I never want to charge outside of that, even though people are like all the time, bro, you're not charging enough. Bro, that offer you have, you could double that. And I need to get there. And I know it's a process, know?
Yeah.
What would you say about, because like, I'll just let you in on a pet peeve of mine that I've observed from the industry that I'm in.
Okay.
And the pet peeve is that people understand that if you have good marketing and good sales, you don't have to, who cares about the fulfillment or who cares, not who cares, but it is the least of their worries because they're really good. This is an observation I'm having.
Yeah.
Great marketing and great sales, crap product.
That's crazy.
And I know that will eventually run out.
Yeah.
But as of right now, people are making a lot of money, and I even feel like it's creating it's creating a bad taste for people who are trying to invest in themselves, and it's like finding someone and they want to trust
100%
is becoming harder because of this narrative. I think that I mean observation on my end. I don't know if you guys observed the same thing.
Well, I have definitely heard that. And I will just tell you from our history of having our product and developing and everything, we really believe that sales is a process, not a one-time event. And that process continues through after the sale. So not only do you want an amazing framework experience, something proven, but you also want to keep them bought in. So yeah, this program's going to be quality. You're going to get your workbook. You're going to be treated like, white glove, red carpet energy, which we love to do. But we want you to stay engaged and encouraged on this. And so I think that when people don't care about fulfillment, they don't care about keeping people sold.
Right.
They don't care about the buy-in, the heart to actually get the result. Because you actually could have the quote best product and the person's not even bought in to do it because you just dropped off. So staying like kind of coaching them, like coaching their heart through their result, not doing it for them, but staying engaged in their process. I think that that's one of the huge parts of fulfillment.
Keeping them sold.
Yes, keeping them sold.
And I think the reason like I notice it so much is because I am such a fulfillment guy. Like, I mean, I also care a lot about people, and it took me a while, I feel like, to figure out how to sell something because I was so obsessed with the product, you know?
Oh, totally.
We can be like that too.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And what has happened, like now I recognize it when friends of mine or people who want to get into selling digital products or education and stuff like that, they want to start with the course. Hey, I'm going to work on this course and then sell it.
Oh yeah, no.
You guys do help people like build offers and stuff like that. How would you help somebody like, okay, I have this information that I know I can exchange for money. How do I package and actually sell this thing?
You know, we actually don't specifically like help people build offers.
Okay.
We actually believe that you should sell the payoff and then create the offer alongside of them. And that is the best way to do it because you're going to actually, and going back to fulfillment, but you're going to actually give someone an amazing experience when you are like so one-on-one with them and trying to create the product alongside them. So I'll give you an example. We actually had one of our students, she called us and she said, hey, I noticed that like your tone could be so much more clear and polished. She said, women are actually harder to listen to because of their tone. Would you like voice coaching?
Wow.
And Kat and I were like, it's a yes for us, like 100%. And I was like, what do you want to charge? She was like, I don't know. Let's just do this much per call and we'll see how it goes. I'm like, perfect. I was not mad about it. I was like, amazing. We're about to get 5-star treatment. We're the only ones being coached right now. Yeah. So maybe for 6 weeks. And I could tell she just prepared for the current call. And then whatever we were doing, she was deciding what we would do on the next call and then the next call and then the next call. And by the end, I was like, I feel like we're really good. I feel like we've learned a lot. And she developed this product called charisma coaching. How to like use your voice and your tone. And we were a huge part in her creating that offer.
Love it.
I'm like, that's how you create an offer because you know for a fact that it's working and that it's proven and you get paid to create it at the same time.
That is what I will say as a coach. I grill people on first when they're like, what should the offer be? What should the price be? I grill them on, can you, for a fact, tell me you can deliver this result and tell me about it? I want you to prove it to me right now. Yeah. So when they can prove that, so this person had the skill of voice coaching. I mean, she was a singer, all the things, performer. Radio. So we knew she had the skill, and that offer part is like not an issue for me at all. So that's what's really fun about coaching people with skills is like, we'll get the offer right, but can you guarantee that you can get some type of a payoff? Yeah. And they can.
And here's what absolutely drives me the most insane. People will go in this offer creation cave. Yeah. They go into this dark room. Yeah. I imagine like a writer, and they're like, let me just get on my computer.
And nobody's involved in the process.
No one's involved. Yeah. And then they work on it so much, they fall in love with the offer. And they're like, look at my baby. I worked so hard on her. Look at her. And so they talk about the offer because they love the offer, and nobody cares about the offer. They care about what they get out, what the offer does for them.
Right.
And that's why when her name is Charla, she was working with us. She was like, oh, this is developing your charisma. And that's why she's like, oh, this is charisma coaching. It's not voice coaching. She revealed it. She didn't decide it. She revealed it through the process.
That's awesome.
So the last thing you want to do is go in your hole to make something, because how do you know if people are going to want it? And now she's absolutely killing it. So
that's so cool.
I like teaching people how to sell the payoff and then create the offer along the process versus creating the offer first, because it honestly doesn't matter.
Because usually like right now, in my world, it's people just want to make the course. They think the course will do it. And I know what it, like you make a course with no insight. I say, number one, change it into a program.
Yeah.
And put a timestamp on it and invite people like into that journey.
Yes.
So you said it's good to start one-on-one, especially because you're getting so much insight from the process of that person.
Yeah.
And then when you get them to that transformational stage, you have so much information on how to, because they represent so much people.
Yes.
How do you get better at helping transformation in a group setting?
In a group setting?
Or is it just proven over time?
Well, I mean, technically we were doing it together. So that was a group, technically. I think you learn so much more in group coaching. I'm sure you probably agree with that 100. As well. What I love about group coaching is you watch people's heads nods as you're coaching them together. Yeah. When you're coaching one person, you watch everybody else, and that's how you know what's working, what's not working. So I think it's actually better to do a beta group program. You can do one-on-one, elements of one-on-one, but you're really going to be able to see what's working, what's not working. That's my opinion.
Oh yeah. And just the way that there's this saying, any one person is unpredictable, but people as a whole are predictable. So when you have that predictability of the way people think, their concerns, their insecurities, and you start to, one person might ask just a more articulate question than their person down the Zoom. And so all of a sudden you get this like, oh my God, thank you for asking it that way. I've been wondering what Macy and Kat thought about that, what Omar's thought about that. And so I'm so glad you asked it. Yeah. So you get to see this transformation. It's like leveraged transformation.
It's really cool.
Because they get coached by watching someone else get coached.
So we coach people on our framework. And there was a time where like I was doing all the coaching at the time, and we had like 40 people at once, and I would have like a 3 or 4 hour office hour, and I would say, just come and get your coaching. It was like the most exhausting thing, and it's what developed the coaching program, like by far. And I remember coaching people after person, and by the time I got to the last person, they didn't need any help because they got all the coaching ahead of time. And so it's just cool to see how people can really take the pieces and apply it to themselves. They don't need you to be so specific with them. They can really apply it for themselves.
So good.
That's cool. Yeah.
How has it been? This is kind of like a sidebar question. Like, how has it been? I would imagine the sales world is a male dominated industry. I feel like in most industries it is, I actually have a hard time finding female guests. Just because
I was going to say, I don't know if I've seen.
I was like, bro, I really would love you guys to do this.
Listen, call us up,
because it's just even just the way it's presented.
Minority like that.
Oh yeah, listen.
But like, how has it been? Like, and
it's so interesting because one thing about me is I just decide to live my own reality.
Okay.
And one of parts of that reality is I just don't make being a woman a problem. Like I just pretend it's not a thing, and I just act like I'm the best. I'm the best, not because I'm a woman or not. I'm just the best at what I do. So, but now we kind of recently transitioned to sales girls, and it's so funny, Omar. 2 men recently bought our program. So we just, doing it's like the minute we turn to sales girls, men are like, wait, I actually am interested in what you do. Like I wanted to learn from you, but now the train's leaving, cool. And it's so wild, right? But now that we are kind of in this sales girl mode, I'm noticing, okay, women, men, what's like the difference here? And I will say more men than ever are like, we want women selling for us. Do you have any sales girls that can come and sell for us? And I'm like, oh, tell me why you want women.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, people open up to them so much more. Yeah. They're so much like softer and empathetic and warm and less intimidating. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, what is perceived as a weakness is actually the greatest advantage.
Come on.
And so now I'm like, wait,
awesome.
Sales girl staffing? Like, hello?
What recruitment agency.
Hello?
We will install a sales girl in your business.
And they're so, like, our girls are ninjas. Like, they are so good. So I love being a woman. Listen, I'm going to milk it until the day that I die in the best way, because I think it's amazing. So I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I did have a thought and it lost me.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's just been, it's been really fun. I wish I could remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
But sales girls, being a woman, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's really leaning into it. It's been really cool. Gosh, you said something about the industry and how it's male dominated.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's an ignorant observation.
No, it is the observation.
It totally is.
It is like the whole, it's what you deal with, not just in this, but in everything. And I just think maybe what I was going to say is, people just appreciate like that personal touch a lot. And people will just say like, I've learned from men, like great men with great character and ethics and everything, but they just like, they're lacking that sense of maybe being heard, or they'll say, they just felt very like, it's almost like that harsh, direct scriptedness, even if it's meant with like the best heart. This framework really allows you to be flexible with a person and connect with them. That connection can lead to all that leverage that we talked about, like in a funnel or whatever. And it just helps people feel like, wow, they get me. And we don't just believe that being women is awesome, but that being moms are awesome.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
And so it's like really being a master at sales as a woman and a mom, it helps you. Macy talked about your offer baby. It's like there's a line though, it's like you love it and you care too much to treat them like, oh, whatever you want. So I know I love you. I'm going to help you see what's best for you.
Yeah.
And so there's that like loving compassion and directness that I personally think is the greatest gift as a sales girl who's a mom, a wife, everything. Yeah. Because you don't have to be this like weak person who backs down from everything, but you stand for what you believe in, because we believe if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And more people could use that.
Yeah.
Women for sure.
Yeah. Mom for sure is a situation. You know Sarah Blakely? She's the founder of Spanx.
Okay, yeah.
She says if you want something done, ask your mom. She gonna get it done because she just knows how to manage her time so well. And what's cool about being in sales and being a mom, sales, you're like, I'm unrecognizable because of this process of entrepreneurship and selling, right? Mm-hmm. You are changed from being in this game.
Yeah.
And what's cool about being a mom and being in the game is your kids get to experience this unrecognizable you year after year. I mean, we become unrecognizable every single year. We're like, who was she last year? I don't even know. And so your kids get to have the mom that has like all this wisdom, all this experience, all this failure, all this rejection. Mm-hmm. And so when your kids are teenagers and they're getting rejected, as the mom, you can look at them and be like, I know exactly what it feels like. Like, I know exactly what it feels like to feel like nobody cares about what you have to say. Nobody wants what you have. And I can actually coach you. So that's just such a cool position to be a mom and have all this experience to be a better mom.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Literally last question. And sorry if this is going to be a gnarly question.
Gnarly.
What do you guys think of Andy Elliott?
Oh. Why do you ask?
Because right now, when I think about the face of sales.
Really? You think Andy Elliott?
I think of Andy Elliott.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Not to say it's for whatever reason, that's just what I think and what I observed.
Yeah.
Obviously online.
I wish I'd watched more of his stuff.
I have watched so much of his stuff.
Good.
I wish. So Carl's out strolling our 4-week-old baby right now.
Which I absolutely loved watching him.
I know. I might need to go do that in a second. But so he started in this sales thing and he was watching a lot of Andy. And you know what I love about him is he does stand for something.
Yeah.
So much so that he will scream it to his audience. And so it's a different taste than us for sure. Like his framework is different, but the man has skill. He is so
I love
like fired up to help. And what I love about him is that he helps people in different industries. And what that tells anybody is that they have a mastery over their skill set. Right. They're not just robots with product knowledge, which is great, I guess. But he's so like, he makes me laugh a lot because of the way that he communicates. Yeah. Like it's so different. But I would, if he were here right now, I would love to learn from him.
Yeah, a lot. I love when someone has strong beliefs because even if you like don't agree, you know where they stand, and so you kind of can feel like safe.
Yeah,
and
it helps people make decisions.
100%.
Like, I'm going to follow this person. I am not going to follow this 100%.
Person. Absolutely, yeah. And I just love that he is so passionate. Yeah, and I haven't watched it.
He loves his wife so much.
No, yeah,
awesome. And his kids.
Yeah, that's huge.
He's I think he goes to church.
The one thing I've seen is him like,
which is crazy.
Wait, what'd you say?
He loves the Lord.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, I think he leverages like profanity though to reach people. I don't. Maybe it's his.
I've seen him talk about like you need to have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all about being healthy. Like I'm all about that too. So
there's a reason for it.
Yeah, the reason makes sense. I'm
so we didn't talk about this in the framework, but you know, a framework in sales, emotion and logic, it's like you start with the what and you really end with the why in one really smooth phrase. And that's what we teach. Yeah. And so he'll start with like 6-pack and it's like, whoa, like attention getting, but then he goes into why. Yep. It's like because of the way that you are perceived, the way that you show people, hey, I follow through with what I'm going to say I'm going to do by going to the gym. And it's just a subconscious thing. So that's his little sales message about 6-pack. Yeah. But
the why makes sense. It's like,
the why makes sense.
And you develop a discipline and you have to have discipline in all the areas of your life.
And you can do that with anything. And he chooses to go there.
I think it'd be nuts if you guys like obviously did a podcast. Yeah. He does a thing where like you can go to the office, see the operation, and shoot a podcast and stuff. Or
collab.
collab. Listen, everyone comment on this video. Tell Andy
at Andy Elliott
with
the sales girls. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Well, thank you for being on the department. This was so enlightening and refreshing, and I'd love to have you guys back, and we can go even maybe a little bit deeper or wider.
So much to talk about.
Yeah,
it's been an honor. Thank you.